I'm just looking at my notes, and quite conveniently, I've put Declan Rice third most successful tackles in the Premier League this season, which, as we've just discussed, that means absolutely nothing. And it speaks to the fact that when I was first started sort of getting into like the analytics, very tentatively, going on who scored in my university lectures and stuff.
Yeah.
I was looking at the sort of the defensive action metrics and being like, why are all the bad teams' defenders apparently the best defenders? And obviously that's why possession just makes sense. But anyway, on to Declan Rice, who is playing in a team who are not a bad team at the moment, currently fourth in the Premier League, are they not?
Correct,
West Ham. Yeah. But yeah, in terms of tackling, he's keeping pace with Rodri and Pierre-Emile Højbjerg of Spurs. Again, both not playing for bad teams. But again, in my notes, I've put, are Rice's numbers inflated by West Ham's tendency to sit off? Or is he the man we should be calling Spider Legs, not Wan-Bissaka? God, you can tell I wrote this one late.
Yeah. Well, it's funny, actually. In my notes, off the back of that, I wrote that Wan-Bissaka is the real OG for tackle win rate. So I think I was a bit tired there myself. But I think it's important to look at it in terms of kind of win rate as well. So I guess Declan Rice having a lot of successful tackles is the reason behind that is, as you mentioned, is the fact that he's got more opportunity to do so. And I think also Declan Rice has played the joint most minutes of any player in the Premier League as well. So he's not only has he got more opportunity within the team because they have less of the ball, but he's also got more opportunity, and that the success rate is simply because he's played more than anyone else. So that's another factor, as we said. Then quantifying it more per 90 minutes is always key as well. But his win rate is still pretty decent. I think it's still in the top 15% for a midfielder. So he's still definitely up there. I wouldn't say he is the best, but he is certainly up there. And I think the fact that West Ham do sit off as well is an important one. And coming on to another defensive metric here of PPDA, for those who don't know, that's passes per defensive action. So it's a proxy of a team's pressing intensity. And West Ham are certainly a passive team in their approach. They have one of the lowest pressing intensities in the Premier League. I think they're 17th for the PPDA metric. So he's certainly got more opportunity to do so. So the numbers might inflate it a little bit there, but for all the reasons that we said, you can adjust that for a number of reasons. But West Ham are an interesting one, aren't they? Because they're doing so well. The gap between, normally it's the ones who are quite passive who are further down the league. And again, sorry, Newcastle are a passive team and further down the league. But West Ham are just defying that at the moment because they are quite passive in their approach, but they've clearly got a way of working. And in the Champions League spot at the moment.
It's the Czech brotherhood of Kufal and Thomas Souček that is really working. I loved seeing that when Kufal was down with what looked like a head injury the other day, Souček just bounds over and to check he's okay. He's like, no, he doesn't need a doctor. He needs me. I'm here to look after him. But it's interesting that you mentioned passive teams in Newcastle because it's funny because with PPDA, that shows up Newcastle every year in terms of how passive the press is, at least the last two seasons anyway. And the thing that I found quite funny a few weeks ago was, well, not funny in a dark way, was that Newcastle had either the lowest or one of the lowest three PPDA in the Premier League, and yet had conceded the most counter-attacking goals, which seems a bit counterintuitive, but hey, there's nothing that makes sense about that team. So, it defies, to coin probably a Peter Drury phrase, it defies description.